I know you've mentioned that through your dance, you found and stepped into this gender fluidity. Has that informed your drag? Because, I don't know, you go for the beard. Oh my God, what the fuck was that question? That was shit.
No, that was brilliant. I love that. Carry on.
You go for the beard?
I go for the beard.
You go for the beard?
I go hard for the beard.
Welcome to the Outtakes, the official podcast of National Student Pride, the podcast where we go behind the scenes with a series of incredible guests doing their bit in the LGBTQ+ community. This episode I'm joined live from the National Student Pride Festival 2024 by Dosa Cat, drag legend and icon.
There we go. I was waiting for something else.
Thank you, Dosa, for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me on this podcast.
Prior to having you on the podcast, we did go into a bit of research, and I've heard about you on the London scene for quite some time. But I think you really came into the public eye upon your appearance on Keeping Up with Crystal Versace. What has your experience been being part of a drag collective? And also, how did you find shooting a reality show? I imagine that producers of reality TV, they have a lab and they're trying to create people like you. You were incredible television. You were the standout star. Definitely.
True.
Did you feel it?
Do you know what? I didn't really know what was going on half the time. Okay. But what I did realize, and if people like yourself have seen it and other people may go back and watch it after this, I don't know. But there's a lot of time in that show that I kept on giving side eye to everyone.
Yeah.
Because for me, reality TV, yes, it's a lot of fun. It has been a giggle. But there were moments where I was like, we also need to remember that we're putting on an incredible show.
This is a job.
This is our job.
Yeah.
And these cameras are just a fly on the wall for what we're doing. Please do not act up for the sake of this when we have rehearsals going on. And I was also performing in residencies and shows during that time. In one of the episodes. Because
you're the dancer, right? You were the choreographer.
No, that's not fair to say.
Oh, okay.
It was a collaborative effort. LaBelle took charge.
Okay.
But there were moments where I was like, I think I sort of used my eye and kind of looked at a few things. So we all did like contribute to that. So I will give that to the girls. Not everybody contributed, but some of us did.
Okay.
And yeah, so like performing that with everyone was incredible. Did I think that I was going to be the breakout star? No, I really didn't. I was just myself.
Yeah.
And I think everyone that's seen it who knows me will easily turn around and say, oh yeah, that's exactly what you do. That's exactly what Dosa does. So when there are moments, I think there's a perfect moment when Dee Dee was complaining about things. Which episode do you ask? I don't know. But where
I think it might have been 2.
Yeah.
I think it may have been 2.
Potentially.
Not me being like a super fan.
I love that. But yeah, no, it was just before we went on stage and we were all getting ready in the dressing room at the Palladium. And there's a moment where Bones and I look at each other and we laugh because I was like, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
And that whole thing, there's some insider knowledge here for you, right? Some tea. When I shouted at her was genuine.
That was real.
That wasn't for the TV.
Wasn't for the cameras.
I was like, I've had enough of this. Like, and that was me saying, I've had enough of you trying to script everything. Like, you're an icon and a legend. Like, we need to remember that.
Yeah.
So, like, let's just focus on that and not focus on anything else. And I think that's why I became Mother. Like, everyone then started to call me Mother straight after. And they were like,
Mother Dosa.
Yeah, like, I really do mother these girls occasionally. And, like, because, like I said in the show, I am the oldest. But with the sternness
as well, right? It's
I was. And I am, like, the oldest out of the girls. So with that comes time and experience and stuff. So when someone is acting a certain way, I think I have the know-how to handle the situation as opposed to other girls would.
Yeah. What we did see on the show is that you have got such an incredible humour, but also a maturity to you. And I think what people may not know is that you're an actual full-time scholar. What was it? 3 degrees, 2 masters.
I have 3 degrees.
A doctorate in.
I have a potential doctorate also.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the pipeline.
In the pipelines. Yeah. So I have an undergraduate, 2 master's degrees, and a potential doctorate. Yeah.
What the fuck, guys? I feel like such a loser.
Don't feel like a loser.
So, as we are here at National Student Pride, when did your student experience begin, and when will it end?
Very good question, because a lot of people ask me the same damn thing. My student experience began when I was 18. We're not going to talk about how long ago that was. I'm not that old though. But like I mean, we're constantly learning anyway. But I think my student pride didn't really come in until I think I was in my first master's.
Really?
Yeah. I there was nothing. Yeah.
It was a bit latent.
It wasn't because I didn't feel prideful within who I was or anything like that. I was very much aware of who I was. I think I grew into my identity during my university career. And then when I got to my master's degree, actually at the end of my third year, and then I went into my first master's, I was like, do you know what? I know exactly who I am, and I know exactly what I want to do and want to achieve.
And is it now about actually telling people that now?
Yeah.
Is that what it was about? Okay.
I think it is. I think now it's about showing people that, like, yeah, I've done many literary degrees and things like that, and I did like a lot of creative degrees and my creative masters and things like that, and I was choreographing and working throughout my whole university career. But like now I'm sort of personifying a lot of the things that I was repressing.
Okay.
And I'm personifying a lot of things that I wanted to be but could never find the channel or medium to do so.
Okay.
And when it came to dance especially, because I am a trained dancer.
Is it incorrect? Is that correct?
Kathak.
Okay, not me being like completely...
That's okay, but fun fact, karak is also a type of tea.
Oh, okay.
So you're not wrong.
I'm just incorrect.
You're in the same, you're in the right continent even. I don't know about your incontinence because that's nothing.
That's personal.
That's something that we talk about on my podcast. Like, yeah, in Kathak dance, which is a classical Indian dance form. So like there is no binary and things like that. And I was able to really explore both my feminine and masculine energy. And when I wanted to do a lot more of that, I then started to get shut down. And that's when I was like, no. So then when I started to explore it more in my master's degree and then into this pipeline doctorate, then it's something that I know needs to be said and explored.
I love how we're branding it the pipeline doctorate now.
It's quite a nice phrase,
I like
isn't it?
I think it's pretty concise.
She's on a pipeline doctorate.
Yeah, I think that's fun.
That's nice.
Yeah, we're using that.
We should TM that.
Yeah, trademark. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't have the legalities. Maybe you do.
I don't know if I do.
Did you study law?
No.
Was that in the mix?
No, that's just the colour of my skin that you thought I did. But I didn't know. I studied English. Classics.
I know you've mentioned that through your dance, you found and stepped into this gender fluidity. Has that informed your drag? Because, I don't know, you go for the beard. Oh my God, what the fuck was that question? That was shit.
No, that was brilliant. I love that. Carry on.
You go for the beard?
I go for the beard.
You go for the beard?
I go hard for the beard.
What made you decide I'm going to be a bearded queen?
I first actually started, there are some images of me where I don't have a beard, and I didn't enjoy it as much. I thought drag was me in the day, back in when I started, was me giving real. And I think that came from, if we're going to get deep into it, Ben.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. If it really did come from being categorized as a feminine counterpart. Okay. So for me to have learned that whilst I was growing up, it was learned behavior within also my relationship and intimate history in which men would just turn around and go, no, you have to be like this. And I was like, okay. So then when I first started drag, because that's what they were like. They were like, oh yeah, you're like a girl. You're like this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah.
And that was part of their own toxic masculinity.
That was their own thing, yeah. So then because that had become something that had harbored within me, I think when I first started drag, that's what I tried to give. And it just was not like the one, in my opinion. And then it wasn't until I did a performance for an artist who was a queer singer, and I was like, well, if I'm representing you and you're bearded, then I should do it. And then I started that and I said, actually, hang on, there's something in this. And I just think androgyny is a lot more fun.
It is fun.
And now 3 years into the game, like full time properly, people now see me and they go, do you know what, Dosa, we don't even see your beard anymore.
No.
Like, because I'm so, I think when I perform and now that I fixed my paint and my hair's long and things, I'm very hyper feminine when I'm in drag. Hair? Yeah, this is my hair.
That is incredible.
This is not a wig, nor is it extensions. This is all my... Look, pull it. It's real.
I'm going to do it. That is real, guys.
No shift. So back to the drag question. But then, then I just decided to become a bearded queen. And then from there now, it's just sort of like stuck.
Do you feel like a bearded queen?
No.
No.
I don't. Sometimes I don't even remember I've got one. And that's genuine honesty. Like sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, when I paint, I go, that's lovely. And I look at my pictures and sometimes I don't see it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I look at my recent pictures on Instagram.
It's almost like a psychological block.
Yeah. And sometimes I just look at myself and I go, I'm so captivating. Like my eyes. I think my eyes are my best feature.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just look at my eyes and go, oh yeah, I've got a beard. But I've started doing this thing where I have to have it a lot shorter now.
Why?
Because I hair whip and stuff like that, and sometimes it's caught in
it's
my
like
beard.
Velcro.
It is like Velcro.
It is like Velcro.
It is like Velcro. Would you ever do drag?
I don't know. Is this an invitation?
Do you want me to paint you? I don't block brows and I don't do all of that.
I don't know. I've got some fuck off brows though.
No, but your brows are great.
It will take a glue stick and a half.
What we could do though
What's
is
the
we
process?
could feather them.
Can we talk through the process?
Well, I stamp mine down. I just feather mine down. But if we could feather your brows,
what does that mean?
It means that we bring them upwards.
Okay.
And it just gives it a nice yes.
Oh, okay.
And then what we could do is we could paint. I think you would make quite a pretty queen.
Oh, really? What would we do? Would I be a blonde or brunette?
I don't know.
Or grey.
You could be a grey-haired queen.
Branding. I quite like the idea of like a red hair, but not like ginger red, like
an auburn, a burgundy.
Yeah, like sort of
Are you into comic books?
I used to be, yeah.
Yeah, I can tell.
Really?
That's a very X-Men thing,
no? Oh, who's your favorite? Oh my god, Mystique.
I'm not into a Mystique. I'm a
Mystique.
rogue.
No, Mystique was like
a Jubilee. For those people who actually
with the fireworks.
Right.
Yeah, I'm an X-Men
because
fan.
What the hell was the point of that power? She just used to have fireworks.
Visual effects.
Right.
Yeah.
But then what's the point? But, I mean, whenever you were to feel sad, she could just give you a Catherine's wheel.
I don't know what power I'd want.
Do people even know what Catherine's wheel are anymore?
Yeah,
I think that's a very white thing. That was a very... a Dorset reference, that was, yeah.
You're from Dorset as well?
I am from Dorset. Where are you from?
Coventry.
Are you?
Yeah.
I performed at the Belgrade. I was doing a Bollywood musical. I'm a rogue and a Jubilee. Yeah. Also a Gambit. You give me Gambit.
Gambit was sexy.
You could be Gambit.
What, with like sort of the southern drawl kind of accent?
Yeah.
But like instead it's Brummie, that's a bit tragic.
Ah, yeah. But like his whole thing with like the cards and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Gambit was the coolest character. That was like
kinetic energy that would just blow things up, right? You were actually a bit of a trailblazer.
I'm not a bit of a trailblazer. I am a trailblazer.
Yeah, you are a trailblazer,
yeah.
Dosa, in the sense that you were the first queer person to dance in a Bollywood film.
I was. Openly.
How did that happen?
Openly queer person.
Okay, yeah, that's a little caveat there.
Yeah, because obviously I'm sure there were many a queer dancer. How did that happen? I was found on Instagram, and then they were having an open casting, and India called me on a WhatsApp call.
India called you?
India called me.
The nation of India.
The actual nation of India. Mother India called me and spoke to me about this film.
She called you home?
She said, you better come. I'm not even Indian.
You're not Indian?
How do you feel?
Oh my God, where are you from?
Just kidding. And then, so I'm from Dorset. And then I got that call, film got cancelled. They then replaced me.
Oh.
Because it was during COVID.
Okay.
They replaced me with some imbecilic looking man. And then I then
Not
got
of the
asked,
caliber.
No.
Nothing of the sort.
He was also straight. And then I got told that I was going to be assistant choreographer and teach him a routine.
Okay.
It wasn't until the executive producer went, hang on a second, I know you.
Yeah. And what you can do.
Film about 4 self-tapes and send them to me, speak to me in Hindi, speak to me in Punjabi, speak to me in Gujarati. I was like, I don't know, I know 2 of those languages. And I was like, let's just go. Spoke it. I remember she went into a conference with someone and she said, I need you to send me a 30-second video of you right now. Bear in mind, I just woke up. A 30-second video of you right now speaking in Hindi.
Okay.
So I did. And she went into there, took my voice note, came back and said, you got the job. And that's how I got cast in that show.
What do you think was the turning point to make them cast you?
Because they knew that I was a dancer.
Yeah.
They didn't know who I was. I was no one to them. Okay. Because in Indian cinema, hierarchy and name, it gets you everywhere. Yeah. If you're just a nobody, everyone will be like, who's this kid? Like, whatever, carry on about your business. You were no one. But it was very evident to see how that was handled. But yeah, she because they knew that I was able to dance. They knew that I could act because I can. I'm not an idiot. I can read and emote. And because I knew the character was me. The character was a young London queer person who also was a drag queen and a big performer, and also who had a lot of latent like homophobic tendencies. But like, yeah, it was just, and it's iconic because I was the very first openly queer person to play an openly queer character who also had a love story.
Okay.
So that's the first time the Bollywood's ever openly done that and said, actually, do you know what? We're going to give you a love story and we're going to have a love interest and we're not even going to really care about the main story because you're the secondary story that we actually do care about. So it's about like people looking at it and going, no, we want this to work. So we were the storyline that they were like, come on, do they get together?
That's incredible but did you find that they were almost having to embed this storyline within a wider straight story to appeal to people and get people like,
kind
on
of,
seats,
yeah. But I think the director, who was incredible, Samar Iqbal, and his wife wrote it. His wife actually wrote it, and Samar, the director, he directed it. So I think it was important for them to have that story. I wanted to keep my beard, and I got told by the director that India was not ready for a bearded queen or a bearded queer person in the story. Okay. But then it happened in another major film where they were both bearded, but he's a straight actor playing somebody gay, and he looks very manly.
Okay.
So because I was the feminine counterpart, I had to be beardless with my hair down. And
how did you find like having to almost sacrifice the beard?
It felt really weird.
It did.
I then came and did a resident gig with our drag family with no beard, and it felt strange to me.
Do you feel like the beard adds confidence?
I think the beard allows me something, but I don't know what it is.
To like step into yourself?
Yeah, I think so, because I think the beard connects me to Dosa.
Okay.
Without it, I'm not... That element of Raheem isn't there anymore.
Really?
Yeah. Because Dosa personifies my femininity.
Did you have a drag name before?
No, I had a few.
Been Dosa?
It was Dosa. Well, I started off as Raheem. Okay. Because I was like, one name, one brand. And I was like, that's stupid. Then I was going to be Korma Sutra.
Korma Sutra, okay.
Thank you. I was going to reclaim Shilpa Papadom from the racism of Big Brother. But then
oh my God, from Shilpa Shetty?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was insane. When they were burning effigies of Jade Goody in India. That's And Gordon Brown had to like go try and manage like an international crisis for a show that he's never watched and people he doesn't know anything about.
Exactly that. And then I was going to be Ariana Gandhi.
Okay. We like a pop culture reference.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, what diva am I? And then I was going to be Rita Ora, but Rita Ora's... that Primark collab, like that belt broke in 2 seconds. Yeah. And then that was it. And then I was in a rehearsal and someone was like, you really do perform like Doja Cat, like you give a lot of Doja Cat energy. And I said, yeah, but I'm like somewhat South Indian, also South Asian. And they were like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, like Dosa Cat. And then we all went, there we go. And it also sounds like a dose of cat.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's nice on the ear as well.
And also, for me, the name doesn't immediately bring me to Doja Cat. And I know that sounds ridiculous to some people,
it doesn't.
But it is very much your own name in its own right as well.
Yeah, and you eat dosas.
When you were 18, you moved to London. What drew you to London?
Life, energy, the fact that I could learn more here, because it's just obvious, isn't it? You just have to move to London in order to understand the world.
I think I see that, but I don't know if I could brave London full time. I actually live in Brighton right now.
Do you?
Which I think is a nice balance because
it's only about 1 hour away from here.
Yeah, I have to work, like travel to London quite often for work, but like I'm able to also get the train back and then just go to the sea and breathe, and it's a really nice slower pace of life.
That's so beautiful.
Whereas I feel like if I lived in London day in day out, I would slowly just grind me down.
I completely understand that, because when I go back down to Dorset and I'm surrounded by fields and green and there's no street lights and everything goes dark as soon as the sun goes off, like it's that escape that I crave for sometimes in London.
And a necessary one.
Yeah, but you end up finding sanctuaries in London that are perfect for you.
Okay.
For example, I know that I can go to Green Park and sit on a bench and be on the waterfront and be like, this is just what I needed for the next 5 minutes.
Okay, and just finding them little moments within
because
London
that's what
pockets.
we would have to do.
Yeah.
Not being from London, because London is not a nice place all the time.
And then at what point did you enter the drag scene? And was it
just after lockdown?
Really? Was it a COVID decision?
No, it was just before lockdown. No, we did a show in which I looked awful. But because I'm a classical Indian dancer, they wanted a classical Indian dancer, and they gave me this nasty tinsel shake and go wig. I put on a yellow eyeshadow, and it just wasn't pigmented. I looked ghastly. Yeah, and it was just awful. And then they saw that I could perform. Then they said, do you want to come back and do this? And I said, yeah. So it was when you could go and be in spaces, but you weren't allowed to make noise. So the RVT is where I think I debuted my very, very first solo act.
Okay.
And no one could make any noise because of the COVID restrictions. So they just clapped every single time they liked something, or they did this, or they went like that. And I was like, this is soul destroying. Because drag queens are like fairies. Like, we need cabaret performers are like fairies. We need applause in order to be alive. And
well,
like,
you start to faint like Tinkerbell.
Yeah, and I felt incredibly lightheaded. Let's just say that. And I was like,
starved, famished.
I was starved and famished, and for just £2 a month. But yeah,
just clap for me.
Just clap for me. Just clap, please. It doesn't have to be a Thursday. It can be any day of the week. And like, it just, it got to a point where I was like, oh my God. But then I did that, and I was like, hang on a second, I think I'm onto something here. And I was. And then I performed at Freedom Bar for me, the drag queen, and she used to do a night called Fruity Cabaret. And then Bones, who's an icon of London, who was also on Keeping Up, booked me for Heavenly Bodies, and that was it, game over. And then I was booked every single weekend from there on out. Okay. And everyone's like, who's this girl, who's this girl, who's this girl? And I was like, yeah, and then you were booked
and blessed.
I was, because I came, and I think I brought a different energy to the drag scene.
Really? What do you think you did?
I came in and I was nasty, unapologetic, like I used to do rap, hip hop, grime. Like I did a lot of that sort of stuff that a lot of these white drag queens weren't doing. And because I was in these predominantly white spaces performing like a hip hop or a rap thing, because music obviously knows no color, but like these white queens, and I think a lot of it time people were so worried about appropriating things, because a lot of these white queens are listening to hard rap. Like I know so many of my English friends that listen to hardcore like driller gangster music. But the thing is, they were like, oh no, but we would never perform
We need to
that.
keep it Anglo-Saxon.
I mean, yeah, they are very Viking. And like, whereas me, I'm like, well, I listen to this music, so I should do it.
Yeah.
And I did, and no one else was doing it at the time.
And how have you found
to my knowledge.
And how have you found your South Asian identity in forming your drag?
It only did that once I performed a classical Indian dance rendition of Beyonce, Ara Benjamin, and Naughty Boys Running.
I'm obsessed with that.
I did that as a concept, and I did it at Freedom Bar.
Yeah.
In front of 19-year-olds that are probably like, don't even know what this is, bar. They can't see further than a pearl necklace and a safety pin on a sweater vest. And like, here I am doing this classical Indian dance performance in front of them, and they were like, oh my God. And people were like, and I don't lip sync it. So
you're a singer, aren't you?
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
She's a singer.
No, she can sing. Don't ever get twisted. But
it's just
like,
a dance routine.
Yeah, but it's classical Indian dance where you don't mouth the words. It's all lyrical.
And
so
emotion,
it's emotion. It's hand gestures. It's like that sort of thing. And I did that, and everyone stood up and applauded. And I went, I think I'm onto something here. And
That's
now
incredible.
I do like loads of like street Indian mixes. I'm mixing my heritage with everything now.
But also, I think what people want is they want to see diversity within their community, and they want to see almost like the buffet that is on offer. And like when someone is able to bring something new, I think it really hits a chord with people.
Absolutely. But also at the same time, I think I don't need to be doing that all the time. Like my skin color is enough to let you know that I'm not one of you. But it's true. Like you don't need to be proving all the time, in my opinion, that I can, because I know I can do it.
Yeah, you don't need to be constantly like telling people I'm valid here.
Hi, like I've got this different heritage. I've got different culture.
Yeah.
No, that's so like whatever. I know that I've got that, but if I can also turn around and, you know, on a brunch and do a Dua Lipa number better than the girl next to me, then I'll do it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you don't need to, but you don't need to prove it all the time.
Yeah.
You can already
Well,
see.
you don't need to prove it all the time. Do you know what I mean? But people out there feel like they do.
It's true, you know.
Yeah, we're just born an icon. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Dosa.
Thank you so much for having me.
Live from the festival 2024.